Good morning, everybody. Orin J here with another War of the Visions video, and today we're going to look at just how much money War of the Visions Global and JP are making. With the announcement of the server alignment that is coming out, a lot of people have been wondering, like, how good is War of the Visions doing? That info is out there, especially thanks to sites like Sensor Tower. We can go look at how War of Visions is doing compared to other Final Fantasy games, mobile games, compared to other Square Enix mobile games, and compared to mobile games at large. So that's what we're going to do in this video. I'm going to give you my read on these numbers, and hopefully my opinions are backed up by what the data is saying. If you disagree or have a different opinion, go ahead and just let me know. Let's look at some data. Now, first up, what we have here is Sensor Tower data on earnings from November of last year, actually all the way back to October of last year, for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months, all the way up to May of this year. If we scroll down this list a little bit, you will see FFBE War of the Visions JP, FFBE War of the Visions Global. So we can see how much War of the Visions is earning total if you just want to add these two together. For example, in May of this year, War of the Visions in total made $3.2 million. 2 million of those dollars came from JP, 1.2 came from Global. If we break down kind of the averages over this period for JP and Global, you will see that JP has some absolutely huge months. They are capable of having multi-million-dollar months, especially around the end of last year and the beginning of this year. They made $4, $3, and $4 million. So the JP game is making a ton of money, and that is a ton of money for a mobile game. That's that's extremely successful months. On the global side, when we have down months on the global side, we are somewhere around $1 million. Like, look here, 1.2, 900K, 1.1 million. On the global side, when we have good months, we're at 1.6, 1.7, 1.6. And I'm gonna put my face back on the screen here because I really want to drill this next point home. Mobile games, at least War of the Visions and other Square games, I feel like, have big months when they have collaborations, when there's an anniversary. Those are the months when they have the deals. I hope you're listening to me, developers. When you have the good deals, the money rolls in. So, or when you release really hype collaborations. Mainline Final Fantasy collabs make War of the Visions a lot of money. For anniversaries, half-year anniversaries, those are big money makers for the games, and that's where you have those high months. And then when it's in dead times or lull times, like June was for War of the Visions, and we'll go look at June here in a second, that's where you just don't have a ton going on. Okay, let's explore this last chart a little bit more because I want to compare War of the Visions to other Final Fantasy mobile games. Here, Opera Omnia, you'll see in May, Opera Omnia earned $760 total $1,000. That is way less than the 3.2 million of War of the Visions. FFBE, 1.2 million. Way less. In fact, FFBE added together is just global War of the Visions. I don't know what FFRK is. It's a JP only game, but it makes a couple $100,000 a month on average. New Empire makes around $1 million a month. War for Eos makes, War of the Visions on a down month amounts of money. And that's it for Final Fantasy mobile games on this list. Other Square Enix mobile games that I could think of, well, you have Near Reincarnation, which the JP version of the game makes a couple $100,000 a month. The global version of the game made under $100,000 last month, and then that's then they're making in the 200,000s previously. That game, the global version of Near Reincarnation, it feels like it is being solely supported by the JP side at this point, but they do continue to support the game, and that's another point I want to kind of dig into here. Like, War of the Visions Global, I hope by this point you can already tell, is still making Square Enix, Gumi, whoever, a significant amount of money. Just compared to Square's other mobile games out there, you can already see that War of the Visions is at the top of that list. Now, Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis comes out in a few months. That might take the throne away, but that is a PvE only game. I'm sure there will be a ton of hype around it when it comes out, but it will taper off, I imagine. Even with the large fan base that Final Fantasy VII has, Ever Crisis will probably hit really hard early, but unless they can pull Honkai Star Rail levels of marketing, the earnings will just tail off. And even Honkai Star Rail earnings tailed off, but my goodness, the player base in that game, thanks to Genshin Impact, Massive. Okay, now let's go look at a little bit more data before we move on. If we wanted to look at this chart here, here's a chart that includes June of 2023, the latest month that we have full month data for. This one is nice because it is sorted from greatest to least, at least based on the games that this person chose to include. Note that Square Enix games are not on this list. Now, we're going to go look at what War of the Visions did for JP and Global and see where it would slot into this here in a moment. But Honkai Star Rail earned $54 million in June. That's insane. The closest next thing to it is Genshin Impact at $30 million. Then after that, Nikkei here, I think we all know why people like that game, $23 million. Then we get to a couple JP games. You can see, look, these are your kings of mobile gacha gaming right now. Especially Hoyoverse is living large. Just these two games basically crushes everything else on this list combined. More, I mean, I think that might be true. That's 84 million. Like, if you throw these out, especially if you throw these next three, it beats all the rest of this. So anyway, let's look at where War of the Visions was for this last month, for June. Now, I want to show you this. War of the Visions in June did not have any like big collaborations or big hype. Here's June's releases unit-wise for War of the Visions. Vega, Addison Rae, which you did not have to pull for, she was completely free. Sweetheart Miranda, Howlet the Heavens Blade. This was June's character lineup. Free character, Vega, Howlet, Miranda. Kefka dropped on the last day of the previous month, and yes, his banners were still available in June, but the biggest money-making day is the day the banners drop. So Kefka was not in June. Most of his money came in the month before, and then Dialdo, who's probably one of the most hype units on this page after King Bradley and Stern, he was this month. So this is a down month in terms of releases for War of the Visions. Still, there is good units in here. Howlet had fans, Vega had fans, Miranda had a lot of fans. So let's look at what War of the Visions made. Here, what you're seeing on the screen is War of the Visions for Android and Apple in Global, which is this top one and this bottom one, and then JP, which are these two middle ones. War of the Visions Global made $500,000 on Android and $400,000 on Apple. For, yes, a down month of June, War of the Visions Global still made $900,000. For JP also in a bit of a down month, made $500K and $600K, still beat out Global, $1.1 million for a total of $2 million earned in June for War of the Visions. If we switch back over to the Sensor Tower chart here, where would $2 million put you? Or where would about $1 million? Let's just round both to $1 million and see where that puts you on this list. That would put both Global and JP right about the middle of the road here in a down month. So I think if you're a War of the Visions player, if you're somebody who is playing the game and worried about like maybe it going to end of service sometime soon, look, that will happen at some point. This game will play itself out, but FFBE just hit its 7th anniversary. It makes significantly less than War of the Visions and has done that for a while. Square Enix has still chosen to support that game and its loyal fans and players. War of the Visions is the top earning Final Fantasy mobile game right now, and it's not really that close. I'm not worried about end of service for this game. It is still a very competitive mobile game on the market, and that's because of us, right? That's because of those of us who support this game, who've played it loyally for a long time. Yes, there's a bunch of naysayers out there who every time they hear a piece of news, run that news through a series of events in their mind that end up at end of service. I'm just saying, I would be super surprised if this game did not have 2 or 3 more anniversaries coming. It just feels like they're continuing to invest in the game. The PvP scene for Global just started this year officially, and I would be shocked if we didn't also have it next year. I don't have info on that, but I'd sure like to cast those with Justin again next year. I just think War of the Visions is doing fine. We've been in this sort of steady flow of money making, especially in Global, for a while now, and they continue to release new content, continue to do collaborations. Was the Addison Rae collaboration a little bit of a flop? I would say so. I bet they were hoping that made them more money than it did. I don't know what the back end of that looked like, but I think that was probably a miss. And so maybe this Unification of servers is the next thing. Bring the servers together, see how JP and Global do when we're lined up next to each other, and then release, not Addison Rae, release some stuff like Final Fantasy Tactics units, or Final Fantasy 9, Final Fantasy 8, more Final Fantasy 7 unit. There's so much more Final Fantasy out there that we could still tap into. I would like to see that be the direction the game takes. I think we have a core player base in War of the Visions, and those core players like Square Enix games. They like Final Fantasy games. They like old JRPGs. Find more of those, collaborate with them, and watch War of the Visions continue to thrive for a few more years. That's my take on it. Let me know how you guys feel about it in the comments section, and have a great day, everybody. I'll catch you next time. Peace.